Hello everybody, it's the Abstractionist. This is a video that I made time to go up after the new year. So this is going to be a video about decks that I have found kind of hard to read. Not that I never use them to do readings or stuff like that, but I find some of these decks harder to read than some of the other ones. Like an example of some deck that I find easier to read would be the OK Tarot, and it's not even because it's very simple artwork. It's stripped away of a lot of stuff. It just seems like it is readily available to read. It seems a little bit more open versus some decks seem a little bit more closed off. So I'm going to go through some of the decks, and there's a few different reasons why, and so I kind of tried to group them together. And yeah, so let's get started with these. So this one can technically go in another category, or these can all be consolidated. Okay, so one is Phantasmagoric Theater. I feel like for this deck, when I read it, sometimes I just feel like there's an extra layer of satire or something that I don't pick up on, and there's an extra layer there that I don't pick up on. And you know, maybe reading this would be helpful, but for some reason it does seem like there's more than meets the eye with this deck, and for that reason I'm kind of sometimes what is going on. It's also a Uranus deck, so for me that's how I put it. It's more like a Uranus deck, so it's the information that comes through isn't necessarily I guess presented in a way that I would readily understand, because it's different. But I just be so what sometimes with this one. I just be huh? What's going on? I feel it's also one of the decks that you have to pay attention. You should be intentional on how you read, regardless. But I kind of feel there's some decks that you need to be that more than others, and this is definitely one. So I find that this one is really strange. It has masks, gas masks. This is a really interesting card to me. It just seems there's an added layer to this deck that I'm trying to figure out. And maybe in 2024 I'll try and figure it out, or beyond. So personal Uranus thing for me is that my Uranus is conjunct Neptune. I'm a part of that generation, but it opposes my Mercury, so sometimes I kind of feel I don't really get this, but I like the artwork and stuff like that. It's one of those that I'm gonna grow into. And I don't I don't feel discouraged because of that. I just feel sometimes the messages that come through are quite strange or something like that, and Next is the Voyager Tarot. This one I feel it is a very I'm not gonna say galactic and galactic races, but I do kind of feel the information is out there, and I feel if you're not comfortable with communicating out there, then maybe this deck may not be for you. I do love that it's collage. I love that it's all these symbolisms and things like that, but I can understand that it looks like a peach, but I ain't gonna lie. I will say that again, it's one of those cards where like you don't have to use like multiple to like read with this one, because there's so much going on in the card itself that you really need to pay attention to. But this one also for me has like really large energy, and so having really large energy is kind of like you kind of have to, I wouldn't really want to do like mundane readings with this. And so in that case, it can go with like another group that I have. But it's kind of just, I feel like you have to be very grounded, very centered, very like here, so that you can receive the messages. I feel like if you have any sort of like substances going on, like any sort of ritual substance things, I don't feel like this is the deck that like you can connect to like very easily when you're on that. Because these are all the symbols that you're going to see when you have. So in that case, like, you might just want to like wait until you come down before that. But it does seem like it's very like up there, you know? And I feel like in order to access it, you had to be grounded here and then like try to access it. It's the same way with the Tantric Dakini. I kind of feel like that's like larger energy too. Starman Tarot is another one, and this is just because it can be a lot going on visually that like hurt your eyes. I like this deck a lot. I consider it a Uranus deck, so I guess Uranus is the theme that like that's not one of my planets. It really isn't. I don't have like a lot of air in my chart as in like planets. So, and the air that I do have is a south node. So like I'm not, you know, I get overloaded. Like my nervous system, and that may be something for me, like Aquarius rules the nervous system, right? My nervous system gets, I mean, looking at this kind of stuff like can really overload you. And especially if you're trying to pull the energy off of this, don't let it be like something come through the card. I'm just saying, I don't mind it. And I have read with it. And surprisingly, what I read was like very practical. It wasn't like a bunch, you know, like a hard thing, but whew. I feel like this is just not one of the decks. Like these, what I mentioned, I feel like these are just not decks that you need like 10 cards. Like you don't need to read like 10 cards with these. So, Starman Tarot. I feel like this one, you could do like 3 cards max. And some of these, because you get overwhelmed, may work with spreads that like specify like each card is signifying something like past, present, future. It may help you like that, because on its own I kind of feel like these, because Uranus is like you may need like some structure to like some sort of structural conceptual box to put it in, so to speak, which is kind of like ironic that the Uranus kind of decks need a box, but they need like some capacity to communicate with it, you know what I'm saying? Like they need some capacity, like you need to be able to communicate the messages that are coming in. And so maybe these are decks that are best like represent, like they best show up when they're in a spread, and each card position has a specific meaning to the whole like plot that is this like reading. So yeah, there's that. The next two are ones that seem kind of like vacant, and again, like this is a Uranus deck for me. Like it shows up as Uranus a lot for me. The Kawaii Tarot, I don't understand why they did this like this. Like, because it's like you got 2 things you gotta open up. I'm just gonna open up one. But yeah, and you know, this one does seem like I'm supposed to have something deeper. For all its kawaii-ness, I just kind of feel like there's something else that's supposed to be said. Like, there's something else I'm supposed to pick up on this. And it's going to be, I feel like whatever I need to learn, once I like retrospectively like explore these decks, I feel like whatever I was missing is going to be very obvious. And that might be Uranus energy. What you think, but it's a retrospective kind of thing. Got my card. Guess I'm on the money with that. Uranus must be retrospective. Like I guess Uranus. Uranus. Maybe the way we look at Uranus is not the way we're supposed to be looking at Uranus. Maybe the way we look at it isn't correct. And maybe that's the same for all like the last 3 planets, outer planets. Maybe we're not supposed to look at them the way that we've been looking at them. Like, there's something like flipped about how we're supposed to be looking. Because the last 3, especially 2 of the 3, deal with some sort of subversion, circumvention of like the details that are being told. You know what I'm saying? So there's something about that I guess is supposed to happen. But yeah, you would think that like this very plainly, you know, it's very explicit. It's 5. Okay, cool. It's the moon. It's say the moon. But for some reason, I feel like I just don't be like, it just don't be coming to me with this one. Like, I rarely read with this deck as a result, because I feel like I can put the question and put the card down, but I'll get the answer and I'm just like, it's almost like I don't trust what the answer is. So I just be like, what is it? I'd be so like, what is it? What is it? And it's funny because the OK Tarot is the exact same in that it is very plainly presented. It's not a lot going on in the background. It's literally just a plain background and like the symbol in the word, right? The cups, the swords, the one, whatever, or the major arcana, like a drawing in the word. And like I can read that one like very like clearly, but this one, it has the same sort of concept, or so I think, I guess. And it's like I can't read this for jack shit. I just be like, what? Next is the Vessel Oracle. I feel like this one, maybe because I also didn't really want to like, it was like once I got this one, I wasn't so fond of it. But this one feel kind of like hollow. Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like when the book and like the reading don't match. Like, you can get something and you pull it, and what you intuit from this is like very different than what the definition will say, which leads you to think that like, are you on the money when it comes to this? Like, are you like, how are you doing this? I just be like so confused. So this one I don't really read with. I just wasn't a fan of the art either. I just kind of felt like the art this show back up defeat. I am for reals. Like, that's the cool thing about having decks, because like I feel like they be talking shit. But yeah, so maybe I need to try it. I don't know, like this one seemed like a consequence of like not finding the right kind of reading for it yet. Like I feel like even though it's an oracle, maybe it just wants to read. Oh, what if I just connect chain the words? Oh, so next, these are the decks that the messages sometimes be kind of mean or dark or like sinister. And it's not like they bad decks or haunted decks or anything like that, but I feel like some of these readings, like the energy be like, it'd be that Pluto stuff going on. It'd be like talking about like Pluto 8th house topics, but none of these are like Pluto explicitly. Nicoletta Chicoli, people done already said this one, like if you play with this one, like your feelings gonna get hurt because it may bring up something that you really don't want to deal with. And I agree, like I really agree, because there's something like sinister and scary about this deck almost sometimes, like your subconscious fears, like from when you were a child, or even like before you were a child, before you came into being, like some of the, so this is a thing. I took this birth working like course, never finished it, but I did 2 of the classes, and one of the classes that I took, that I actually attended, she was talking about how the birth story, like how you get here, like your mother's birth story, like it stays with you, and certain ways that you act really come from like that birth experience that you like subconsciously or nervous systemly remember, like you remember it. Like, so an example would be like your mother was like in an abusive relationship during the time that they were pregnant with you, and then they had you, and you as a child and going forward into an adult, you always feel like you're going to be struck, so to speak. Like you're always going to be hit, you're always going to be verbally abused, or like you may also really actually experience like you make mistakes and people lash out at you. You enter abusive relationships, and it may not be information that was privy to you, right? Like your mom like may have just separated from your dad, and then like you never saw your dad anymore, or you saw him intimately, but he never expressed that sort of stuff in front of you. But what could happen is you still live that narrative out, so to speak, but it's not really, it's like your story, but it's not your story, you know what I'm saying? So that's some of the stuff in birth work. Another thing, like she was mentioning, this is what she mentioned, like if your mother was on epidural and needed to kind of be like spaced out the entire time, like you being born from that epidural state could lend you to being very foggy, disconnected, spacey, just kind of zoned out as a person, and that could be a direct result of the experience that like she went through, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, this deck does go deeper, and I do find sometimes that the meaning is hidden or coded, or I won't figure out the meaning like immediately. So this is one of those decks that like you might want to just sit with it and keep sitting with it. It's almost like this card, like you look at it, you look up, and you look back, and like something's moved, like in the picture, so to speak. And yeah, but I do think this one hints at your fears and stuff like that, and it can get pretty dark pretty fast. But this is a Neptunian deck to me. So next is Hermetic Tarot. This one isn't like overly harsh, but the speaker that the messages come from can go either way, because I've done readings with this, and I personally get like spirits, like water spirits, nature spirits in general. Like I get like things related to like nature, And that can go either way, because not every like nature spirit is like nice, right? Like not every nature spirit is like happy to like interact with you or deal with you. So this one you kind of gotta be careful with when it comes to communication, because the messages also are very like a very to me, the messages come out very like global messages. You need to be very grounded. Like if you're one of those people that believes in like galactic like warfare or spiritual warfare, like this is the kind of card that like, or deck that you may have to be careful with, depending on what you're trying to communicate. Like, is it your guides or is it something else? So there's that. Next is my cloud deck, and I love my cloud deck. My cloud deck is a moon, and I read with it as a moon. The only thing for me is that sometimes it can go either way. Like it can go either way with the readings, and it's just kind of harder to read, I guess, because you don't have the traditional symbology of like the tarot. It's literally not that system to begin with, but there's something also sometimes that comes out with the subconscious that I feel like people underestimate this deck a lot. People don't like to choose this deck, and I'd be like, I wonder why. Because I kind of do feel like sometimes this one also hints at your subconscious a little bit, and things are not what they seem. Things are definitely not like, they're not presented as, I try to present them as clearly as possible, but it just seems like, again, there's like some retrospective, retrograde type shit that be going on with these cards. Sometimes I'll be like, what is happening here? Because sometimes sometimes you be reading, you be like, huh, and that's all you can say for like 10 minutes. Like, okay, well, what we doing here? So yeah, there's that. And then the last one that goes into this is the Deviant Moon, which should tell you enough that like the messages that you get here are just going to be kind of wicked. But yeah, so I don't even have the book in here anymore. I think it came in a box though, like in a bigger. Don't it come in a bigger box? I think it do. I think it comes in. Yeah, it does. It comes in this, but it's in a bigger box, if I remember that correctly. Anyway, this deck has given me some readings on very serious topics, and this one, it is not, it's like I can accept the message for what it is, but this deck just be like, I just be so like, oh my god, like why is it like that? So the decks, I feel like, I don't know if this is a deck that I read for a friend and I was telling them something that came out real sad. But this is a deck that really, I feel like I've gotten really like, like messages, and I'm like, oh man, like if you weren't ready to hear that, then like I am so sorry. Yeah, it's a good reader. Like it's not a bad reader. It's just I feel like people take the decks that look like this as decks that like really, they just be frivolous, and like I said, especially with stuff like that looks like this, people think that decks that look like that, like they don't look as studious or serious, and it's like, man, these decks be eating you up alive. So those are those. This is a longer video, guys. So you know, I look at the analytics, so I see where people drop off, and sometimes I be like, damn, like a 15-minute video, and they be like 2 minutes. I be like, come on, man, wow, you weren't interested. Like, don't watch it, damn, because it hurts my heart to make a 15-minute video and only 2 minutes of being watched, and that's like the average. Like, damn. So the last group really is more like larger energies, and that's why it can be harder to read for. So we have the sorry, I didn't even show y'all. Look at all that. Primordial Tarot. I like Primordial Tarot. I think it's a really great I think it's a good deck. However, it's like ancient patterns, ancient systems, things you should, I guess, should have learned in human evolution. And because we're so evolved past like some of these things, it never seems to occur to us that that's the solution, or that's the root of what we're going through, or this is the time period that this shit started in. It never seems like that, and for that reason I just be so confused. So yeah, when you do get the message, really great, like cool, but I kind of feel like it's one of those decks that like you really have to kind of like regress back in time to like kind of get like ancient ways of being. And for some reason that devolvement of our minds, because at this point we're supposed to have evolved past what these people would have been. I'm sorry, I'm getting messages about it while I'm like dealing with it, but for like it's almost like this deck, like you can put the card there and then you're supposed to mimic the energy within your physical being, because you would have been this, depending on how far back you go, we would have this transcends like speech is what I'm trying to say, like actions and body language, very minute. And I don't know if I said this when I first got this deck, that's the vibe that I got, that it transcends speech and speech, like speech patterns, speech evolutions. And so it's kind of ironic that a tarot deck that you have to kind of sit there and talk to someone and explain this to would be like this, because this energy goes before, this energy came before speech. Like speech, not sound, but speech. I can't get too deep tonight. Look, I gotta do 2 massages tomorrow, or this morning, afternoon. I can't be spending all my time with this. Next is Ritual Tarot. And the reason why this one is because I think I said it in the video, but because it doesn't have the words and stuff like that, it's very hard for me to figure out what is what, because you know it's majors and minors together. And so the marked edition, which is out, will be the edition that now has like the words and stuff like that. So that's great. Another thing with this is that it too is also very much like in the past, but it's also very large energy. I pick up more asteroid energy. Sometimes I do pick up Venus energy as well, but I feel like it's asteroid energy. And I don't know if asteroid energy wants to come through like this currently, but I have done one of the videos like this. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy this. I enjoy, like I said, I enjoy reading with these. They're not, you know, none of these are like horrible. It's just, I feel like this one this group that I'm talking about, really, you really need to like check yourself if you think that you're gonna read about very mundane topics like with these. Like, it's almost like it's disrespectful to talk about like some stupid shit with this. Like, you're like, the answer that you're gonna get is gonna be very like dismissive. Like, this is dumb. Like, why are you talking to me about this? Like, why are you talking to like fucking Zeus about like you didn't get gas today and like now you're late for work? Like, why are you asking me about this? Like, that's the energy that it comes. Like, why are you in the temple asking me? Like, temple environment requires temple like questions. Next is the Dream Dust Shamanic Tarot. This one, the reason why it can be hard to read is because it can get energetically sticky, and I noticed that. Like, if you ask one question about it, it's like the energy fucking sticks. And don't let it be about a person. Like, the energy sticks. It's almost like the images, the fragments of what you're talking about get stuck in there. So this one is not hard to read, as in like the meaning, like, because it's very intuitive. But like, if you do readings, and I told you guys that I use these tarot decks for energy to come through, but you need to clear and close this one, because this one seems like a living portal almost. And as a result, like energy can get stuck on this one really quickly. So I would recommend, if you do use this, that you like cleanse it often. You know what I'm saying? If you get this deck for yourself, like if you get this deck and you read for yourself, I would recommend, if you want to get read for other people, that you get a second deck. That's how energy like connected this one can be. And you don't want it to be like energetically leaking, and then like your messages, you'll wonder why like you're getting messages about somebody else. One, you need to clean it, and then two, it's like, you know, your energy and then theirs, and now we're trying to figure out what's going on. Last one, Mandala Astrological Tarot. This one is not energetically heavy. It's like, I remember writing this. I think I said it was Pluto in fire, and I personally, that would be Pluto in Aries, and essentially we're gonna be out, on our way out by the time this comes. So, you know, like, right, Pluto and Taurus will be like 100 something years. So most of us Pluto Scorp generations will be leaving between Pluto and Pisces and Pluto in Aries. So it will be a sight to behold to see what Pluto is like in a fire sign. That when we're older, because Pluto would have been, right, in Scorp. Well, Sagittarius, rather. But it's going to be a thing to behold. Like, as far as, like, I guess, seeing society progress. Because, like, I feel like Pluto in Sag is more like the truth. Let's get to the truth. And then Pluto in Aries feels like, I was writing about this stuff and then my, like, computer crashed. But I felt like Pluto in Aries was going to be like, this is Sparta type shit going on. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to be around for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever political, social, whatever advancements we need to make the world like more peaceful, let's go ahead and do that by the time like Pluto and Pisces wraps up, because I don't want to get caught in the crossfire of Pluto and Aries. I just feel like Pluto and Aries will be like just militant as fuck. Like you just won't have a waking moment like of rest. Like, you just will not. You'll have to watch your back, I feel like, with Pluto and Aries. So this deck is very large energy as well. And I kind of feel like it could be ahead of its time. And so for that, I mean, it's not ahead of its time because it's like it's been made, right? It was made like actually like years ago. But I feel like sometimes the messages that can come through here can be ahead of their time. And so maybe they're not believed as much as a result. But I do feel like this is Pluto and fire. I don't think Pluto, it has a tinge of Pluto and Sag, but like, I feel like that Pluto and Aries type shit. I just feel like Pluto, like, yeah. It's like, this is the truth. I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's like, okay, all right. But yeah, this one is like kind of hard to read for that. So I don't read with it like that much. And then also, like, I kind of feel like you really do need the book with this. You need the book with this. I feel like reading the book with this one like helps. You know, like sometimes the guidebook, like you can kind of like a guidebook is a guidebook, but this one I feel like the guidebook has like other key insights that you might need. So yeah. All right, thanks for watching. This is a long ass video, God, but I hope that you enjoy all of it. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.